Welcome to another edition of No Veteran Left Behind USA's Warrior Wisdom and Wellness. Now here's your host, Diane Young.
Welcome to the Warrior Wisdom and Wellness podcast. I'm Diane Young, your host. I'm a Marine veteran and a Marine wife and a Marine mom, and I do a lot of work with veterans. And often I have the opportunity to share about the RACE suicide prevention program. And often, just to get their attention, I'll say, and we offer free online suicide prevention and training. And that might pique their interest, but today I get to do you one better. I'm here with my friend Curtis Peck, who gets to tell you what's behind the RACE suicide prevention training. And I'm excited to be able to share that information with you and introduce my friend Curtis. So Curtis, welcome. And would you like to tell a little bit about yourself and how you got involved with this program?
Well, I'm an Air Force veteran, former police officer, and have a background in organization development, industrial and organizational psychology. And I've lost so many friends and colleagues to suicide. And so I've always had an interest in how can I better serve these individuals who are experiencing thoughts of suicide. And about 5 years ago, I was in an American Legion meeting, and someone made the comment that, there's all these different programs for suicide prevention, but we're still losing 22 veterans a day. Why do we keep doing the same things and expecting different results? And I thought, my goodness, that's true. And so I had been through about 8 different training programs. Some of them were an hour long, some a couple hours, and one of them was 2 full days, 16 hours of training. And most of them are information sessions. And so I thought, okay, if this is what's going on, we have to do something different in order to change those numbers. So I started researching all the available different training programs that are out there. And the Marine Corps has the RACE model. They're the only branch of the military that uses this model. It's RACE. It stands for Recognize the Signs of Distress. Ask questions that encourage the person to talk. And while they're talking, care for them. Show that you really care for them and that they're not alone. And that you're listening to what they're saying. The pain that they're experiencing, if that's what comes out. And then depending on their level of suicidal thoughts, if that comes out, escort them so that they get care, they get treatment by professionals. The RACE training is not intended to train people to be therapists. It's intended to train people to be first responders, to be able to recognize when someone is experiencing distress. And they may even be thinking about ending their life by suicide. So what do you do? So I built the training based on the Marine Corps model, and have been facilitating it for the last 4.5 years, and have gotten results, because I've had people come back and say that they applied what they learned and they prevented a suicide.
That's really awesome. I'll tell you, when I did the training myself, I was immediately impressed at how much Curtis really cares. This is not another one of those informational situations that, you really listen to what they're sharing, and that you offer resources, and that you're willing to stay afterwards and talk about specific cases that people might be trying to assist with. So I truly appreciate what you're doing, and I can say that it definitely is making a difference. So you've talked about what is different, and you mentioned something earlier when we were preparing for this about a hope box. How does that fit in the training?
Well, one of the things, it's part of self-care and the Hope Box, and I could talk about both individually, but all of us are susceptible to experiencing distress and even thoughts of ending our life by suicide. Sometimes the things that we're dealing with in life become overwhelming. and we don't know how to deal with them, and we're not sure whether our life has any value and whether we have anything to look forward to. And a hope box, and I encourage people to develop this box and put things in it. Can be pictures, can be trinkets, coins or medals, but particularly often it's pictures. That why have they chosen to be alive up to this point? Why have they chosen life? And what gives them joy? What gives them hope? What gives them something to look forward to? And so that they have that box with these items in it, and that when they are experiencing some form of loneliness, hopelessness, helplessness, worthlessness, that they can go to their hope box and look at those things that give them meaning. And it can change, just break that negative thought pattern and create a positive thought pattern for them.
Very nice. I love that. Somewhere, it might have been in your training, I've referred to the cause of suicide as being lethal hopelessness. I don't remember if that was if that was your training or not. But I love that on all of your literature, it's really clear. It talks about there is hope, and that going through your training lets us be that face of hope. I really appreciate that. And you touched on self-care and how important that is. I know personally that you can't pour from an empty cup, and that if I'm not taking good care of myself, everything can feel very overwhelming.
Yes.
And now with economic distress or political situations, I think that there is a potential to feel even more overwhelmed right now. So I really appreciate that you have these trainings available. Did you want to talk more about the self-care recommendations that you include in your training?
Well, it's important that we take care of ourselves, because we're no good to anyone else if we're not healthy.
Right.
And so we need to think about our diet, getting enough rest, using our time wisely, getting away from the computer and the our screens on our telephones, and exercising, getting some exercise. Now, we don't have to go out and join a gym, but we can go for a walk for 20 minutes or 10 minutes, and it just it clears our head. One of my favorite is laughing.
Oh.
Laughing often.
Yeah.
For years, I couldn't laugh.
Oh.
And I would be with a group of people, and someone would say something funny, and it was legitimately funny. And everybody would laugh, and I couldn't laugh, and I didn't know why. But I was putting so much pressure on myself to be the expert, to be right, and not be vulnerable. And about 14 years ago, I was working with a wonderful group of people, much less of a stressful situation. And someone said something funny, and I laughed, and I didn't know what that sound was. And a couple days later, somebody else said something funny, and I laughed. And so today, I make it a habit of finding humor in many things. And it can be as simple as watching two squirrels chase themselves up a tree.
Or eat my garden.
Yes, or watch an Abbott and Costello movie, or Seinfeld. Just find something to laugh, and find there's so much humor out there, and we need to take ourselves less seriously.
Yeah. Very nice. I'm wondering, if it's not too personal, are you aware of what shifted that allowed you to laugh at that point?
It truly was, and I didn't realize this right away. It was that I was in a situation where I was working with a team of people, and we were the experts instead of I was the expert.
Oh,
and I
that
had
makes
been
a
putting,
difference.
I had been hired by companies to come in and consult, and they were paying me quite a bit of money, and I was expected to be right and have the answers. And so the pressure was on me versus on we. And so that made a huge difference.
Wow. Yeah, it's a lot more fun when you can work with a team.
Yes.
Very nice. Thanks for sharing that. And speaking of companies, I know that you've got a couple of trainings already booked, and you have one on November 9th for Legion members, American Legion, in Mayville, Wisconsin, and another one that's open to everyone on Zoom, right? On
Yes.
November 12th. So those are informational for people to realize that they might already fit into one of the trainings that you have scheduled, but they can also go to your website and request a training. Is that right?
Yes.
How does that work?
Yeah, they can. The training is free. The Zoom training is 1 hour a week for 3 weeks. In-person training is 3 hours straight. And again, there's no charge for that. And I think it's important, and I may have mentioned this earlier, not training people how to be therapists. The training is intended to train people how to be a first responder, to be able to recognize the signs of distress, and then to know what to do, and not to be afraid to say the word suicide.
You also talked about ending the stigma, and the questions in your training really help with that. And that's what I like about it, not being just informational. It was really kind of experiential in that we were asked for our thoughts on just saying the word suicide, or different people that we've interacted with. So I really appreciate your training for that. Anything that we can do as a public to help end the stigma, besides attending your training, of course.
Yes. We have to not be afraid to talk about it. And those people who are having thoughts of suicide, what they really want to do is they want someone to help them work through their thoughts. Because most of them feel alone, helpless, hopeless, worthless. And by connecting with another person, you help them to feel as though they're not alone. You're there, and you're not there to fix them. You're there to support them,
Right.
and help them find their answers and their solutions. So many people, and I used to be this way, if someone had something going on, I immediately wanted to fix it for them.
Rescue Ranger.
Yes, but we're not there. The training, it teaches you not to try to fix someone else's problems, but to try to help them work through them.
Right. I really appreciate that too, because it can be really intimidating to think that you're going to help somebody through a potentially suicidal situation, as if, like you said, you have to have all the answers and know how to do it. And in fact, it's not really our job to do that, but instead to confirm that they're not alone and that we care, and then get them to the appropriate resources.
Yes.
So I really appreciate the emphasis that you put on that in your training. Did you want to elaborate on that at all?
Well, and that's so important. Again, depending on what the need is, getting them to professional individuals who are trained professionally to care for them, and not try to be someone's therapist. That's not our job.
Right.
Our job is to help them feel connected.
Right. That there is hope.
Yes.
I love that. That's not all your literature. There is hope. So thank you. All right. Before we run out of time, is there anything else that you wanted to cover that we haven't already talked about?
If I can, everybody who's watching this if I can encourage them to take care of themselves first. That's not a selfish statement, because again, you're no good to anyone else if you're not healthy. So take care of yourself first. Develop a hope box, and do it when you're not experiencing some stress. Get out and exercise.
Enjoy some sunshine.
Yes.
The leaves that are changing colors soon.
But I hope that people will go to the website, and there's more information available on this website. It's RACE, R-A-C-E, suicideprevention.us. So RACE Suicide Prevention is all one word, .us. And there's a tremendous amount of information on the website available. And again, the training is free. If you have a group that wants to do the training, please let me know and we can schedule something.
And all of that is available online, right, on
Yes.
your website?
Yes.
Great. Well, thank you so much for sharing about this training. Thanks for putting it together and caring so much about people that you're willing to do this at no expense. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
So again, I'm Diane Young. I am the host of the Warrior Wellness and Wisdom podcast, and I'm here with Curtis Peck today to be the face of hope for race suicide prevention training. As Curtis said, take good care of yourselves is self-care. It's not selfish. And be well. Thank you. Have a great day.